Hey everyone, welcome to another Planet Zoo. Today we're working on the giant otter habitat. Actually, we're working on the giant otter habitat again. I've recorded this enclosure twice. The first time was super simple, and I sort of ignored the reality of these cute animals. I just wanted an interesting piece of viewable habitat for the monorail, and the terrestrial part of the habitat blended into the grasslands. Overall, I wasn't happy with the original. So, I remade it. And the second time around, I think I balanced it well, with the underwater viewing for the monorail and a somewhat realistic terrestrial habitat for the otters. When working on the monorail, I shortened the line from what I had originally planned out, and used more of a curve. Previously, it was mostly straight away, and in this way, the water area is shorter in distance, and I was able to slope the banks more gradually, similar to the areas where this species lives in real life. I also tried to keep the glass barrier as close to the monorail as possible, so it wouldn't take up too much space in the water, although I could easily expand the water space some more if needed. At the beginning, I was thinking of leaving the top of the monorail track open to the air, but while filming some footage for the previous recording, I noticed that these guys will actually jump some decent distance in and out of the water if they want to. So I was concerned that they would hop over the barrier and down into the tunnel. Coincidentally, some ranges of habitats for the species has small islands or landmasses in their rivers, ponds, and lakes that they use as part of their territory, and so it wasn't such a bad thing. But I still made sure it was sealed, and that there was sloping for them to get in and out. I attempted to make it look like the zoo had filled the other side of the river and planted it for tropical trees and vegetation. Of course, giant otters tend to remove the vegetation around their campsites when they start digging dens and other places for their needs. So in some spots, I left it bare, and other spots I brought the foliage in, as if the keepers were coming in and replanting in a never-ending battle of the shrubs with the otters. I spent a lot of time pulling the camera back to the location where I wanted the land view to be from, so I could see how it was turning out. I might make a vista in front above the barrier for the guests in the future, as there is a little bit of extra space I could place it in. I provided the species with a couple small dens, even though in real life they would have larger dens, interconnected with a few ways in and out, including a back entrance into the forest. But with no viewing from the backside, I didn't add that detail. I also brought large trees down the back on the outside of the barrier to fill out the middle distance and make it look like the habitat extended further than it really does, as the space is already very large for these animals. In reality, it's assumed that they only maintain a couple square kilometers in total, with several camps through them. This habitat is much larger than that, which is also why I didn't mind bringing in more than a couple otters. Even then, with having over 10 otters in the end, it was hard to spot them in the enclosure. At one point, I had wanted to place down broken trees and branches and make it look like there was a lot of downed foliage to mimic the campsite these otters would normally use, but I struggled to find any branches or fallen trees that wouldn't require me to rotate each piece individually. I don't have the focus for that, sadly. I did find the faux rock branches and roots, but they weren't quite what I was looking for. If someone can point me to a blueprint on the workshop with some already downed foliage and branches that I could use with credit, that would be great. If not, maybe one day I'll make my own and post it on the workshop. With that, I'll let you all enjoy the rest of the video. See you next time.